Hello out there, wonderful YouTube world! Your bearded brothers are back with yet again another sports podcast featuring two doofuses on the internet. I am Doofus A, and that is Doofus B. I am wearing pants again today.
Sweats count, right?
Sweats are a pant. They have two legs.
They're a type of pant.
They're a type of pant. Therefore, pants. There are many different types of pants. I happen to have on fire hose pants from Duluth Trading Company. Which, by the way, if anybody ever wants a really good set of pants that's almost impossible to rip, tear, or otherwise damage, Duluth Trading Company fire hose pants are fucking it, man. I've had these for years. I used to wear them when I worked in recycling. Let me tell you, these suckers do not come apart easily. Comfortable?
No.
We have news to get to, and then we have thoughts. And this week, as promised, you will get the hockey corner that are my hockey letter grades for teams so far this year.
We're going to have to move through a lot of this real quick, though.
We will do the best that we can. We have about 3.5 hours.
Roughly.
Yeah, so hopefully this doesn't come anywhere close to needing that long.
You never know.
You never know, though.
There's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about, and Chris, again, wants to rant about the fucking refs.
I mean, it's less a rant and more just, I'm going to make some pointers. I'm just going to point out a couple things and be like, hey, that wasn't good enough, and we all know it. And every time I see something, I'm going to point it out, because it's only getting worse as the season goes on. It's not getting better.
Okay. One of the things I wanted to talk about last week that I did forget. So we're gonna update you on something that we did talk about, and talk about something that I forgot to talk about. The thing I forgot to talk about is Patrick Kane has signed officially now with a team. He is now a Detroit Red Wing for the remainder of the season after he had his hip resurfacing surgery in the offseason. Continuing the signing with teams that have players I've played with that I've enjoyed playing with for Patrick Kane. Because he signed with the Rangers last year, who had Artemi Panarin, whom he's played with and helped make look really good. And now he is signing with the Red Wings, who have Alex DeBrincat, whom he has played with and really enjoys playing with. So,
why not?
Still chasing
Play with your
another,
friends.
still
Makes it
chasing
better.
another ring. It's just, okay, Patrick, you're now the mercenary. It's okay. We understand. You're getting older. You're trying to find that last ring before you go out.
I mean, also, you might as well enjoy playing with your friends before you go. Why not?
No, and I agree with that. I can say that that's a fun thing. So we do want to update the Corey Perry story. As mentioned, there were the rumors. Those are completely unfounded and untrue.
Thank God.
Thank God. Apparently,
it was almost too funny for it to be real.
So apparently what happened is when the team visited Columbus, there was an interaction between Perry and a staff member for the Blackhawks organization.
I believe it was even specifically mentioned it was a female staff member, too.
I don't remember if that was it, but it would not surprise me. I believe that was mentioned. The staff member's name, the exact what happened, and the staff member's name are redacted and not going to be talked about. So we don't know the exact thing. We do know that as soon as it came to light to the Blackhawks coaching staff and management, Perry was pulled off the ice and immediately done for that game, and then they immediately put him on waivers. There was no discussion about this.
Basically, Blackhawks went, we don't need another scandal. Fuck this!
Pretty much. And you know what? I'm inclined to believe that they did the right thing here and that they took care of it as soon as they knew it. Because if there's one team right now that is under the microscope for how they're doing things, it's the fucking Blackhawks right now.
Yep.
So that is apparently the thing. Perry has accepted it and understands that what he did was wrong, but
Whatever
they have
it was.
refused to say whatever it was. I'm not inclined to dig further into it.
Nope.
I would hope that other people are not, and hopefully, and they got out in front of it, and the coach actually gave a really good conference. Or was it the GM? One of the two of them.
I think it was the GM.
The GM gave a really good conference where he said, we understand that there has been rumor that something happened between one of our players and a family member of another one of our players, and that is simply not the case.
Yeah.
So they got in front of that as quickly as they could and went, nope, shut that down.
It was so funny too because there was somebody who even asked like, "Why did it take you so long to point that out?" And he just went, "Because we were investigating."
Yeah.
Like,
he's like,
what do
because
you
there
want
was
me
an
to say to
active,
that? We wanted to make sure that they're like, yeah.
because it was an active investigation and we didn't want to interfere with it. Duh.
We didn't want to like come out and say that that was absolutely false and then find out it was actually true later. Like, why are you asking me dumb questions?
But you know what? They handled it quite well. I think it went over quite well, and I think overall, while I do feel bad for the staff member, I also feel bad for Corey Perry. Whatever happened, I hope he's remorseful about it, and I hope he learns from this incident, and that he can go on and become a better person.
Honestly, I hope it was just something silly and stupid and like
I hope it wasn't anything
just like
egregious,
like some stupid verbal shit that like, you know,
got
that's
out
what
of
I'm
hand.
saying. It's yeah, I just hope it was something that was just kind of minor that got out of hand, and then he kind of went, yeah, shouldn't have done that. If it was something, I just worry about worst case scenarios often because it's real life, and real life is scary as fuck. So
Yep, that is
that's
very,
one of those
very
cases
true.
where this is one of those cases where now he's going to be under our microscope, and anytime you hear anything more come up, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that guy's a piece of shit apparently. Like, you know, so all I'm saying is, he's now going to be under a microscope for a little bit for, hey, is this going to become a trend? Is all of a sudden something going to come up again somewhere else? Like, so hopefully he's learned to, be a little bit more discreet with whatever the fuck he was doing. Be
Yeah.
more discreet, be nice, don't be an asshole. Just simple things.
So we still don't have baseball wise, and that's what I was looking. There's been a bunch of movement.
I know
However,
it's baseball.
yes, baseball. There's been a
Yeah,
bunch
that's what
of
I'm saying. In
movement.
general, there's always a lot of moves. Yeah.
But nothing major. There was a big deal that got done, but I can't remember who was in it. But there was a big trade that got made between a couple of teams. I'm sorry that I'm not closer on that, but I cannot remember. Let me see if this will pull up for me. Nope,
Yeah,
of course not.
I don't remember enough baseball stuff. Like I remember hearing things here and there, but I don't watch it enough to really be super in the know all the time. I probably should pay more attention than I do. But I hate to say it. A game that puts me to sleep makes it hard to want to watch it all the time.
The Mariners traded Eugenio Suarez to the Diamondbacks for Carlos Vargas and Sebi Zavala. The Tigers have signed Kenta Maeda. Jason Hayward is still with the Dodgers. Sonny Gray leaves the Twins and signs with the Cards. Severino to the Mets on a one-year deal. Here we go. The Braves have acquired outfielder Jared Kelenic and left-hander Marco Gonzalez and first baseman Evan White from the Mariners for right-handers Jackson Kowar and Cole Phillips. That was the big trade that I'd seen recently.
Okay.
We still don't know where Otani's going, although sources close to him say that it will be this week that he makes his decision. And apparently, he just finished a 2 to 3 hour meeting with the Dodgers. So, that's a thing that could happen.
Please don't go to the Dodgers, for God's sake.
Well, he'd just be going down the road in Los Angeles.
I guess, but still.
If he's already comfortable in LA, why leave?
Yeah, I guess, but still, Dodgers?
Yeah, I feel the same. Other interesting news that I think we should talk about because it's funny. Apparently, the Jets are trying to turn back to Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson gave them the middle finger and said no.
Supposedly, because the coach came out and said that that's absolutely false and not true. He wouldn't even be on the team if it wasn't. Because he came out and actually had an interview as well about it, and he actually said that's not true whatsoever. If that was true, he wouldn't even be on the team.
Yeah. So supposedly, but then Aaron Rodgers got involved, and he said he was upset by the report that unfairly paints Wilson as a kid quitting on the team, but he blasted the organization and people in it for chicken shit leaks to the media.
Yeah, which I can understand what he means. He means as in probably somebody in the organization made up a story, or at least made the story bigger than it needed to be, and it got leaked.
Or they heard something that they
They heard
misinterpreted.
it maybe as a rumor, misinterpreted. Yeah,
Or they heard something like this, like maybe we're going to go back to Zach, but what would Zach say? I don't think he wants to. They could have heard that and said, oh, Zach said no. And then
Yeah.
immediately dialed a reporter and went, I have a story. Will you pay me?
yeah, exactly.
So,
Which I actually don't blame Rogers for that, because at the same time that is a pretty shitty thing to do. Like
that absolutely
if
is
you're
a
within the
very-
organization and you take rumors to the press, you're kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah,
So-
100%. Apparently, DeVito is going to remain the starting QB for the Giants right now, even though Tyrod Taylor is coming back from a rib injury and played pretty well and
Excuse me.
played fairly well in relief of Daniel Jones.
To be fair, DeVito looked pretty good the last 2 weeks, so let
that's what
let
the
the hot
coach-
hand ride.
The coach even said, DeBoll said, you know what, he's earned it. Let's see what we can do with it.
Yep, let the hot hand ride.
Let the hot
for a
hand
bit.
ride, exactly. And I'm 100% on board with that. If you've got a hot hand, let him keep dealing.
Mhm.
Let him keep dealing. Also, who was it that said it? I need to get a name for this if I can,
Okay.
because this is funny.
Bird, are you kissing me?
Probably.
You weirdo.
Terrell Austin of the Steelers has said that holding TJ Watt is now the NFL's version of Hack-a-Shack.
I mean, okay, bud.
I mean, take the foul so that way Watt doesn't sack your quarterback and strip the ball or something.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, if you got to remember though, if there's a foul for holding on that, like I guess you're saying if he doesn't get to the QB, then yeah, you'd rather take the foul than him even getting to the QB. Yeah, but at the same time, that's true for a lot of O-line in general. Like that's just how it is. Because like for example, like there are plenty of people on the 49ers you don't want to get hit by either. You know, you don't want to get hit by Myles Garrett either. You don't want to get hit by freaking Daniil Hunter. Like all those guys hit hard, man. And also the Texans have Anderson, who played fucking outstanding
We'll
last
get to
week.
that.
Like I'm just saying there's other people outside of TJ Watt. There's a lot of good defensive ends in the league right now, and that's just the way it is.
Yep, 100%. I'm not going to say that you're wrong. All right. We need to talk injuries, though.
I guess.
Yeah, this is going to depress me, too. So we should start with the big one.
Yeah.
The one that's going to hurt most people's fantasy teams, and the one that's going to affect a team the most. In this case, the Houston Texans, who lost Tank Dell on an inside run blocking play. He has a broken tibula. And,
Fibula.
is it fibula and
It's
tibia?
the
or is it-
fibula. It's just the
Okay.
fibula. Yeah. If you want to, you can double check it, but I just read it
I
a
am.
couple hours ago. Yeah, I read it a couple hours ago that it said fibula. But they might have been a different update recently because
It is the fibula because there is not a tibula. It is the tibia and the fibula.
There you go.
He has a broken fibula, fractured fibula, and he will be out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, he's already been placed on IR.
Yep,
so.
already on IR. There, he's done. Which is kind of sad, but
Also, the play just. I just want to point out how it looked weird to me when I watched the replay over a
yeah,
couple
like
times.
how did he get sucked into that?
Well, he got not only sucked into it, but like the guy that grabbed his leg didn't fucking let go ever, and it was weird. It just looked weird. Like the guy could have easily let go before it bent in the weird direction that it did, and he just didn't let go. And I don't know why. It looked bizarre.
It looked
the
very
minute-
bizarre.
the minute I saw it, I went, I'm not going to say he was trying to hurt him, but it looked weird.
It looked off, and I don't know if there'll ever be an investigation on it, but it did look
Probably not.
very goofy.
Yeah.
We also lost somebody else for the remainder of the season, and that would be punter Ryan Stonehouse, who got run into before he could punt the ball because he was going to attempt to punt the ball, and the Colts moved a guy, motioned a guy inside to the edge right before the punt was going to happen, and he came in completely unblocked. Stonehouse didn't pick him up. Nobody marked him, and he plowed into Stonehouse on a block, and it screwed up his knee, which could have potentially cost the Titans the game because he's also their kick holder, which means that Tannehill had to come in to hold a kick, and then they missed an extra point that would have won them the game.
Now, granted, watching back that, it looked like Tannehill did exactly what he was supposed to do for holding the ball. It didn't look like a bad hold. It honestly just looked like a bad kick, to be honest with you. But that's
could have been, but again, there's a
hard to know though. It's a different.
There's a rapport between kickers and holders.
That's what I was gonna say. You just don't know for sure.
Exactly.
For all I know, Tannehill held it at a slight angle that was different from what he's used to. I don't know.
Yeah, and that totally could be. Now, for the non-season-ending injuries, because there were a couple of these, too.
There's a couple of those as well, yes.
Kenny Pickett, high ankle sprain. He did have to have surgery on it. He elected for the saddle surgery to attempt to strengthen that ligament up, and he is going to be out 3 to 4 weeks.
Which is most of the season that's left, to be fair.
Most of the season that's left, to be fair.
Yeah.
So we'll see if he plays again this season. But
if they make playoffs, he'll be able to play again.
If they make the playoffs, that's what I think they're banking on, is that they might sneak into the wild card. And if that's the case, then I'll be ready for the playoffs.
Yep.
Ramondre Stevenson, high ankle sprain. He will be out at least 1 week.
Probably more, but at least one.
Trevor Lawrence, high ankle sprain.
Jeez, there seems to be a pattern.
He will be out at least 1 week, and that looked nasty when you saw it on the field.
That looked way worse, yeah.
Yeah, thankfully it is only a high ankle sprain. And then
the minute I saw that, I was like, oh no, Achilles, please no.
The one that is surprising to me, because when I saw it happen on the field, I went, oh, that's the trifecta. That's perfectly placed for a trifecta. Jerome Baker has a knee injury for the Dolphins, but I think he avoided having structural damage. I thought he tore all three when I saw that guy.
He somehow avoided all three.
Yeah. When I saw that guy careen into the side of his knee while he had it planted like that, I was like, dude, that's the killer. And then, surprisingly, nope. He's
somehow just a little flexible enough there, apparently.
Yeah, just flexible enough for that not to become a major issue. Those were the major injuries that I saw. There were a bunch of concussions, but we're not going to call all of them out or we'd be here all day.
Oh, God. Injuries are starting to mount up pretty bad at the end of the season.
They always do, though. But this season has been particularly nasty.
Yeah, this season in general has just been nasty on, quarterbacks in general.
Achilles injuries.
Achilles injuries are way more common than we normally see. At least this season, anyways.
We've had a bunch of those. All right, so let's get into the week. Bam! Give me numbers. And let's talk about it.
Let's get some sadness going.
Well, actually, we did really well until the Sunday and Monday night games. We did amazingly well.
And those are the games that I least want to talk about.
Those are the games I least want to talk about as well. Actually, the Monday night game, while sad for me.
I want to talk about it, but yeah. I guess if you want to talk about the Monday night game, but I'm
not going to start there, but I have mixed feelings about the game.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about it too.
I have mixed feelings because, Trevor Lawrence is my fantasy quarterback.
He was mine, but thankfully I still have Goff.
I have Kyler Murray, who's going to be on a bye this next week, so I'm going to have to pick up, and I'm attempting to get Minshew Mania. Let's talk about all of it. So the Thursday night game was the Seahawks at the Cowboys. This game was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be, and then the Cowboys put the pedal down in the second half, which is apparently what they do.
I was gonna say, if you've noticed, like just this year in general, like any team that's below them, they typically somehow pull off an amazing second half every time. Like it's just what they do. I'll say this though, the Seahawks did definitely look way better this game than they have pretty much the entire season. Like, this is the best game I think the Seahawks
and
have
I
played.
don't know if that's because the Cowboys' defense was atrocious or because the Seahawks just came in fired up.
I think it's more the second one because the Cowboys' defense is normally, like this season, been really good. So it was a little weird. I don't know. Are they dealing with injuries on that defense, maybe? Like,
I know they lost that cornerback early on, but...
Yeah, so I don't know. It just feels like the Seahawks were playing really well, though.
Final score, 35-41. Cowboys win. We both picked the Cowboys. We were both correct. Geno Smith, 23 of 41 for 334, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Charbonnet, because, of course, Williams III was out, 19 carries, 60 yards, and a touchdown. DK Metcalf, 6 receptions, 134 yards, and 3 touchdowns. DK feasted.
Yep.
Dak, 29 of 41 for 299 yards and 3 touchdowns. Pollard, 20 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown. And CeeDee Lamb, 12 catches, 116 yards, and a touchdown. Alrighty then. Yep. Overall, the Cowboys did win that game, although there was enough there that made me nervous for their next game.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, but as we've now seen, the Eagles are, they're beatable.
All right, next game of the week, probably the one that made me want to barf the most.
Okay.
Chargers at Patriots.
Yeah.
We both picked the Chargers. We were both right. Chargers win 6-0.
God, that game was
terrible.
I don't even think they were playing football. I don't think they were even playing football.
I don't know what they were playing.
The funny thing is, if you look at Justin Herbert's stat line, you're like, what?
Yeah. So here's Herbert's stat line: 22 of 37 for 212 yards.
How was there still out of it? They only have 6 points.
How did they not get in the end zone with that?
What the hell?
Eckler, 14 carries, 18 yards. What the fuck?
Almost a yard per carry is fucking atrocious.
Keenan Allen, 5 catches, 58 yards. That's your leading receiver.
To be fair, that's kind of who you expect to be the leading receiver, but that's
still
not
you
as good as what
you have like
more.
13 catches for like 112 yards or something.
Yeah, I was going to say you expect closer to 100 yards out of that guy.
Bailey Zappi, 13 of 25 for 141 yards.
Hey, he tried.
Ezekiel Elliott, 17 carries for 52 yards.
Also, how many times does that motherfucker, specifically Bailey Zappi, how often are you going to get called for false starts as the QB? Fuck, bro. It happened 3 times.
What the hell?
In one game. What the hell, man?
Devontae Parker, 4 receptions for 64 yards. This was a game that was not a game. It was abysmal. It was a mockery.
Awful.
It was a mockery of everything that football is supposed to be.
Oh, God. It was bad.
Honestly,
you said that Vikings game last week was bad. This was far worse.
Neither team deserved to win that game.
No.
They should both be charged with a regulation loss, and the rest of it should be charged with a win for having to watch it.
Did you watch that game? Here's $100. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Those teams should pay us back for wasting our time.
God damn, it was a waste of time. My gosh.
All right, upset of the week, in my opinion.
Okay. There was a couple of those, so we'll
Cardinals at Titans. Not Cardinals at Titans. Cardinals at Steelers. We both picked the Steelers. We were both wrong. Cardinals squish them.
They did.
Them 24-10.
Granted, I mean, they lost their QB. Was it halfway through the game?
I believe so, yes.
So
Enough, not enough far. They got Trubisky in so that he was their leading passer.
yeah, so it's one of those things where you look at it and go, if Pickett plays, is that the same scoreline? Probably not. I still think the Cardinals end up winning with how well they played, but I think that game ends up being a lot closer.
I think it would be closer. But Murray, 13 of 23, 145 yards and a touchdown. James Conner against his former team, 25 carries, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Arguably his best game this season.
Probably. Yeah.
And Trey McBride, as they have let go of Ertz.
Yep.
Trey McBride, 8 receptions, 89 yards, and a touchdown. Talk about a dude.
That guy's really good.
Yeah, and he's got a
honestly,
good,
he's
got a good rapport with Kyler.
I'm gonna say it. I don't care what anyone says. He's a top 5 tight end right now.
Probably, to be completely honest. Laporta has to go in that category too.
Exactly, but if you look at people would put Darren Waller in there, but he hasn't played and he can't stay healthy, right?
Exactly.
So who else are you putting in there? You got obviously you have Kittle and you have you know who I'm thinking of,
Kelsey.
but I can't. Kelsey, right?
Yep.
Sam Laporta, McBride, and then
Andrews?
I don't know who the 5th. Andrews, maybe? Yeah, probably
But
Andrews.
he's hurt right now, but Andrews.
Yeah, he normally would be. So, I mean, but you can't tell me a lot of others that fit in there. Like, okay, T.J. Hawkins is probably close, but I don't know. But the way McBride's playing, that's hard.
Yeah.
So.
He's on the if he's not top 5, he's on the cusp.
Yeah, he's right on the edge. Exactly.
Yeah. Trubisky, 11 of 17, 117 yards and a touchdown. By the way, the ones that he missed were pretty bad. Yeah. Najee Harris, 16 carries, 63 yards. Pickens, 4 receptions, 86 yards.
Yeah.
I mean, this kind of got out of hand, sadly. It both ended and began with points by the Steelers. They scored the first and last points of the game.
True.
And in the middle, it was all Cardinals.
That's fair.
We both got that wrong. We both thought the Steelers could pull that out, and I don't think they would have pulled it out even with Pickett in the game. The score would have been closer, but I still don't think they'd have pulled that out. The Cardinals came out and played with some fury, so
They really did.
I'm optimistically hopeful for the Cardinals next season.
I mean, we'll see. It's going to come down to what they get in the draft, as well as, Kyler Murray is doing okay, but he's going to have to continue progressing a little bit more. He's still only, pretty good. He's okay. He's not amazing. There's still moments where I look at what he's doing and go, man, that's not a good decision, or, why'd you do that? I'd like to see some of that shorten up a little bit more, but granted, we know that he was injured for a while. He probably didn't practice nearly as much, so we'll see how.
Yeah, I'd like to see how an off season and how a
real off season, not one where he's injured.
A full training camp with the new coach and staff and everything affects him.
Yep, agreed.
All right, moving along. One of the games we split on this one. Colts at Titans. You picked the Colts. I picked the Titans. Colts win 31-28. Although that was a really good game. It was really weird.
I'm telling you, the Colts are sneaky good, man.
It was really weird. Because the first 2 scores were both really long plays. The 22-yard run from Derrick Henry and then a 36-yard bomb from Minshew to Alec Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
Yeah, the Colts are sneaky good, in my opinion. I mean, aren't they at 7 wins now? I think they're at 7 wins. I think they're 7-5.
I believe so.
The
Colts are 7-5. Yeah.
Yeah,
they're on a 5-game winning streak.
Yeah, they're sneaky good, guys. It's funny how much you're not hearing about them at all in the media, but they're gonna make playoffs, guys.
Gardner Minshew, 26 of 42, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns. Zach Moss, 19 carries, 51 yards. Pittman, 11 receptions for 105 yards and a touchdown. Levis, 16 of 33 for 224 and a touchdown. Not horrible. Although
Not horrible.
there were a couple
Not
of
great,
passes where he missed, and both he and Hopkins got in each other's face about it.
Yeah, to be fair though, when I watched it, it looked weird because there was definitely a disconnect where I noticed that Levis threw up the ball, and there was a point at which I saw Hopkins almost like slow down as if he didn't think the ball was coming to him, and then by the time he noticed it was coming, it was too late. Like, it was weird. I was like, did you just cancel the play yourself early there, bud? Because you kind of screwed yourself there. So no wonder Will Levis was pissed off at you, and then you started screaming at him like it was his fault. Like, granted, the ball was definitely overthrown anyways. He still probably wouldn't have got it, but it was weird.
Derrick Henry, 21 carries, 102 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Hi, King. Welcome back.
It took him a while.
For a
My
week.
gosh.
Hopkins, 5 receptions, 75 yards, and a touchdown. So even though he missed those 2, he still had an okay game.
He's still a good
Yeah.
game, yeah. It was just weird seeing that some of those, like, that disconnect
That
on those
game
deep
was a
balls.
lot better than it had any right to be. It was a lot of fun to watch, I'll tell you
It was
that
fun.
much.
It was a fun game,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a very fun game. Wasn't this also the game that one of the games had a 2-point conversion that was picked off and returned for 2
Return
points?
for safety, yeah. I think that was this game.
I think that was this game. If not, it was the next game. Either way.
It was hilarious.
Yep. Broncos at Texans. I picked the Broncos. You picked the Texans. You were correct, although this game came down to the final pass of the game.
It did.
Which, by the way, was picked off in the end zone by Derek Stingley Jr.
Who also had, I think, another pick earlier in that game.
I believe he had at least one other pick. Wilson was intercepted 3 times, so
The Texans defense was all over Wilson, to be fair. Like, they did
Yeah.
exactly what they had to do.
this was a very good game by them, and Anderson had a come-out party on this one, and he was everywhere.
I'm pretty sure he sacked Wilson at least twice, possibly 3 times.
I know. Let's take a look. I'm curious now. Wilson was sacked 3 times, but by whom?
I'm pretty sure he sacked him twice at least.
Twice.
Unless it was
And Grenard.
Yep.
Grenard had the other sack.
So, yeah. Anderson
And
was all over.
interceptions, it was Stingley with 2 and Jimmy Ward with 1.
Jimmy Ward had the other one, yep. So, yeah, like, oof.
Final score, Houston 22, Denver 17. Wilson 15 to 26, 186 yards, a touchdown, and 3 picks.
Oof.
Williams 13 carries, 46 yards.
Oof.
Cortland Sutton 2 receptions, 77 yards, and a touchdown.
Okay. He was pretty
Okay.
quiet to be fair, like, up until the last quarter when he got that touchdown.
And
He
it's
was pretty
funny.
quiet.
It's funny that Sutton usually is quiet and makes 1 or 2. How the
Yeah.
hell did he come down with that ridiculous catches a game?
Because I think they did a stat where, like, the entire first half, he didn't even have a ball thrown at him. Like,
C.J.
Okay.
Stroud 16 of 27 for 274 yards and a touchdown. Not the best statistical performance.
It's not the best for, like, how, like, he did miss about 10 passes. That's not great. But frankly, he didn't have to play amazing. And on top of that, their game plan obviously got widely interrupted by not having Tank Dell anymore. So
Pierce 15 carries, 41 yards and a touchdown, and then Nico Collins 9 receptions, 191 yards and a touchdown. Well
that
done,
guy
Nico
was
Collins.
cooking.
He was cooking with something.
He,
I don't know what
he
it
went,
was.
Tank Dell's not here. Time for somebody to step up. Let me put on my big pair of pants.
All right, moving right along. Lions at Saints. We both picked the Lions. We were both
Oh my
correct.
God, this game was a weird game.
This game was really weird because
The Lions were stomping the
the
crap
Lions
out
were
of them.
stomping them, and then all of a sudden let up off the gas, and all of a sudden we had a football game,
Yeah.
and then the Lions win.
You know, it reminds me almost like the week previous, where the exact same thing happens. Like, I swear to God, the Lions just enjoy nail biters for some reason.
Goff, 16 of 25, not great. 213 yards and 2 touchdowns. Gibbs, 8 carries for 60 yards. Laporta, 9 receptions, 140 yards, and a touchdown. What is it with the Lions and finding tight ends from fucking Iowa?
I was gonna say it's very, very clear that Jared Goff's favorite target now is Sam Laporta. Like this.
I mean, Amon-Ra St. Brown caught a touchdown too.
Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown's done well, but if you the last couple of weeks, it's always been like, oh, Jared Goff's under pressure. Jared Goff's about to get hit, and there's Sam Laporta. All right, well, never mind.
And I think the other funny thing is how they got Jamison Williams involved, because he hasn't been involved in the passing game.
Yeah.
But he got a touchdown this week because he had a 19-yard end-around
bootleg?
run.
Yeah. End-around, yeah, that's right.
Derek Carr. Oh, I did miss that. Derek Carr got injured. He is now dealing.
Yep.
He is now dealing with a concussion, a shoulder injury, and a rib injury.
Again.
All at once.
Dude, Derek Carr's got the worst luck ever.
17 of 22, 226, a touchdown and a pick. By the way, I mentioned this to my wife. The pick that happened was almost identical to the one, because it was to Branch. And it was almost identical to the one that Branch got in the first week. Because it bounced off the hands of the receiver and right into Branch's arms.
His hands. Yep.
I was like, how? If I had a nickel for every time that happened, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
Weird that it happened twice. Yeah. To be fair, he just happens to be in the right place at the right time quite often. It's weird.
But I mean, that's part of being a great defender, is just winding up in the right place at the right time and making the most out of it. Taysom Hill, 13 carries, 59 yards, and a touchdown. You know what?
He's getting more and more involved where it's working out. Yeah.
Yep. Olave, 5 receptions, 119 yards.
Pretty good.
Am I worried about the Saints? A little bit, but not entirely, because I honestly think Jameis Winston will be better than Derek Carr.
I don't think so. I don't think Jameis Winston is better than Derek Carr. I think he's Derek Carr in a different way. If you put it that way, like the level of performance is the same. The difference is Jameis Winston's more of a gunslinger, where Derek Carr is more protective of the football. But they got similar. Their ceiling for what you expect is going to be the same. Like, there's not a big difference between the two, in my opinion. I think the performance you're going to get is very samey. I think the only difference is that you're probably going to see more picks, just because that's what that's what he does.
You might.
That's what Winston does.
I'm not going to say that you're wrong. Next game, Falcons and Jets. We both picked the Falcons. We were both correct, but this was another game that might have been the stinker of the week. It didn't quite become that, but was it close.
It would have been if it wasn't for that New England game.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Falcons win 13-8. They are the king of the dumpster fire.
They are, but I can't imagine they're going to hold for very long based on how they played that fucking game. Jesus Christ.
But who else in their division is going to challenge them? Let's be real here.
The Buccaneers.
They lost.
I know, but I think they're the only ones who will be able to challenge them in an actual head-to-head. And I think if you look at the schedule for the rest of the Buccaneers, it's actually pretty easy. They could actually take it from them.
I actually wondered for a little while if this game wouldn't end with the first thing, which was Bijan Robinson getting tackled in the end zone for a safety, and I was curious to know whether this game would end 2-0.
Thankfully not. That would have been really weird.
That would have been, and thankfully it did not happen. However, the Jets did fail to score an offensive touchdown. In fact, there was one offensive touchdown this whole game. Michael Pruitt, a 20-yard pass from Desmond Ridder. And Younghoe Koo kicked the extra point.
Yep.
Ridder, 12 of 27, 121 yards and a touchdown. Robinson,
not a great stat line.
18 carries, 53 yards.
12 for 27 is not a good stat line, my guy.
No, it's not.
That means you've missed over half your fucking throws.
Pitts, 4 receptions, 51 yards. Yeah. Boyle, 14 of 25 for 148 and a pick.
Surprisingly, still not good.
Dalvin Cook, 9 carries, 35 yards. And is this Xavier? I gotta see what his actual... Yep. Xavier Gibson, 5 receptions, 77 yards.
You know, there's a name that's missing on that list that did nothing, and he should have done a lot more. His fucking name's Drake London. Where the fuck was he?
You know, there's another name that's missing on this list that didn't do anything and probably should have.
There's a couple, but to be fair, but yeah.
There's actually a couple, yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's the premier Jets receiver.
Wilson, yeah.
And what happened to their starting running back?
I don't know. They used Delvin Cook. I don't know. Don't know why.
Breece Hall. No, actually, Breece had more carries. You want to know what Breece Hall's stat line was?
Oh, God, it must have been really bad then.
13 carries, 16 yards.
Oof. Stop it. That's almost as bad as Austin Eckler.
Garrett Wilson, 3 for 50. Breece Hall did catch 6 receptions for 29 yards.
Woo! That game was just bad, to be fair. I don't necessarily blame Breece Hall or... I mean, I guess Breece Hall should have probably done better on the ground game, but like any passing, like for Wilson, for example, he's getting his ball thrown by Tim Boyle. Like...
Well, and this is one of the things that I was going to bring up, and we'll get to it. I have a hot potato about it. Because I've been looking at it, and I think there's some stuff going on.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is that they're basically tanking at this point, but I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure, and I think part of the problem, we'll get to it.
If they do tank, they shouldn't grab a QB, to be honest.
No.
I'm only going to say this. There's one particular wide receiver who is fucking outstanding this season for college that they absolutely should try to get if they can.
He'll be gone by the time they draft, and I think they need something.
Well, maybe. That's why I said they should try to move up to get him if they can.
Two names that floated to the top of my list, and neither of them are wide receiver.
I don't know, that wide receiver, man. If they can move up to get him.
Yeah. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, that guy is a beast.
Yes. But he's going to be gone. I think he should be the first overall pick of the draft, to be honest.
He won't be Caleb Wilson.
I know, but he should be.
He'll be the first wide receiver off the board, but he probably
might even go.
Until,
he could go at number 2.
I don't think he's even going at 2. I think he could go at 3. I think 3 is probably what I'm thinking. I think
that's
the first
still
going to
be well before the drafts. The Jets get to pick.
I don't know. With how the Jets are playing, they might be able to move up to 3. You never know.
But I think there are 2 guys, and one of their names, the only one that I can remember the name of is Joe Alt. That's definitely someone they should look at. You know who he is, right?
The name's familiar. I haven't looked. I haven't done any of my college. Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure he's offensive something. I thought he was an offensive lineman. I can't remember. The thing is, I have
those 2 offensive tackles that are top rated should be the 2 that I think they look at. I think, and I was going to get into this, but I'll get into it a little here to preload my potato. I honestly think the Jets' problem is probably the offensive line. If you're not getting a running game going, and none of your quarterbacks look good, then your problem is the offensive line isn't giving them the time they need in order to get the ball out, and they're not blocking properly.
I normally would agree with you, but none of their quarterbacks are going to look good because none of them are good. I mean, Zach Wilson last year wasn't good, and the year before that wasn't good.
And they had those
Tim
problems.
Boyle isn't great. The problem is Aaron Rodgers we didn't get to see enough of. We saw one play, and we just...
Because he got sacked because the line couldn't block properly.
But again, that was the beginning of the season. I mean, look at our beginning of our season for the Vikings. They looked bad until about halfway through the season and got better.
I know.
Happens.
I'm just saying.
So we just... I know what you're saying, but I'm saying we just don't know enough.
The Jets line is the exact same that it has been every year. And then they went out
and they've had changes. It's not the same as last year. I'm just saying we don't know 100%. I think they have a lot of other problems besides it just being the O-line.
And then in last year's...
I was gonna say, don't get me wrong. You can still. I was gonna say, don't get me wrong. They can still make the O line better. That's not a question. Like it definitely could be better. But remember, you're saying that they can't get a run game going. You got to remember, last year Breece Hall was fucking outstanding for the first half of the year until he got injured. So let's not pretend that their O line is just straight hot garbage, because it's not. It does have problems, but it is not hot garbage.
I think it's got more problems this year than it did last year, and I don't know why. But
I think part of it's from some injuries that they're dealing with, but they've dealt with a lot of injuries.
There's you drafted McDonald, where you drafted him in the draft, and it's why didn't you look at an O lineman at that point? Because there were a couple that were available that have been really
No, they
good
definitely
solid
had
this
other.
year.
Yeah, they had other options and stuff. But
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
moving right along. Dolphins and Commanders. We both picked the Dolphins. We were both correct. Dolphins murder the Commanders,
No, they murdered the
45-15. It seemed like every time they would flip to that game on Red Zone,
Oh,
I would tune in just in time to see Tyreek Hill catch a ball behind the defense, and I would go, "Oh, look, Tyreek Hill's going to score again."
yeah, pretty much. And then on top of that, like Terry McLaurin didn't even see a pass get thrown to him. Like,
No, he did not. But of course,
Here's
that
the
was
thing,
partially because Sam Howell was wearing Andrew Van Ginkel as a fucking jacket.
the thing is, I agree with that, but at the same time, he should have gotten at least a look or two. And I'm starting to think that watching the play calling for Washington the last couple of games has been fucking atrocious.
It has been. It's been just dog crap.
So I blame it partially on that because Terry McLaurin, no matter how many defenders he's getting, there's gonna be at least 2 or 3 times a game where he's gonna get open, and I've seen it, and he doesn't get the ball thrown to him. I'm just going, what the fuck is going on?
I wonder if Washington is in tanking.
I don't know what else they're doing.
By the way,
I mean-
Tyreek Hill's receptions for touchdowns, 78 yards and 60 yards.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill just does what Tyreek Hill is supposed to do: catch the ball, run real fast, not get touched. Yeah.
Speed kills.
Yeah.
Tua, 18 of 24, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. A-Chain, 17 carries, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, 5 receptions, 157 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Sam Howell, 12 of 23, 127 and a pick. Robinson Jr., 7 carries, 53 yards. Curtis Samuel, 4 receptions, 65 yards. Ugly game.
Yeah. It also didn't help for the running game that Robinson Jr. went down like halfway through the game with an apparent injury of some kind.
Wait, I was wrong. The Buccaneers won this week
Ha! In your face.
by 3 points
I don't care. They still won. They could still catch the Falcons.
over the Panthers.
Well, of course. They're the Panthers. They're shit.
Yeah, but if you're only winning by 3 points over the Panthers, maybe you have a problem.
Well, you gotta remember that they're dealing with injuries of their own, you know.
As we may have said, Panthers and Buccaneers, we both picked the Bucs. They do win 21-18 over the Panthers. Again, this game was ugly. About the only bright spot for the
they're pretty
Panthers was Chuba Hubbard.
You know, I'll say this. Baker Mayfield has been doing well enough. He's been doing well enough. I mean,
Bryce Young missed half his passes.
yeah, that sounds about right.
15 of 31, 178 and a pick. Chuba Hubbard, though, 25 carries, 104 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think he has supplanted Miles Sanders.
I mean, I would fucking hope so.
And then Jonathan Mingo, 6 receptions, 69 yards. Baker, 14 of 29, also missed over half his passes. 202 yards, a touchdown, and a pick.
To be fair, he's more of a gunslinger. You expect that they're going to miss more passes. That's just the way that is.
Rashad White, 20 carries, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Mike Evans, 7 receptions, 162 yards, and a touchdown, and I believe his 10th season in a row of
Yes.
1,000 yards or more receiving. And guess who doesn't have an extension?
Yeah, I know. They better give him an extension because
They
he'd be a
better,
number 1
'cause
wide receiver on a lot of teams.
Oof. Yeah,
Think
if
about
they
the
let
amount of
him,
teams
if they
that
let
would-
him walk, somebody's going to snatch him up quick, fast, and in a
Listen,
hurry.
the only team that doesn't need him is like the Vikings. We don't need him. We have so many wide receivers now. But if you're the Packers, you might be making that call.
The Packers.
Can you imagine?
Or
Oh,
the
God.
Cowboys.
The Bears.
The Bears. The
Because then you have
Cardinals.
more alongside him. Oh God, that'd be dangerous.
The Cardinals.
Cardinals, they need somebody
The
to
Colts?
catch the ball. You know, I don't know if they necessarily need him, but they could. Like, it definitely did. Steelers.
The Texans.
They need him now, but I don't think that'll happen.
Well, no,
The thing is,
even if you still had the other guys, could you imagine that three-headed monster with
I
CJ
don't think they
Stroud?
could have. I don't think they could afford it with that though.
They have
Well,
like
maybe.
100 million in cap space.
I was gonna say actually now that I think about it, with all their rookies, the problem is they would have to keep them to a deal where they could still get their rookies paid because they're gonna have to pay Tank Dell and they're gonna have to pay C.J. Stroud on that.
Yeah, but
comes.
not for a couple of years.
Yeah,
Even
and that's
if
what I'm
you
saying.
only
For 3
sign,
years,
if
that's
you
what I'm
only
saying. They
sign
can't give
Evans
him.
for like 2 or 3 years, then
That's
by
what I
the
was gonna say. If they only sign him for a couple of years, it would be fine.
yeah, yeah,
But at the same time, I think that you gotta be careful with that because then that means none of them are gonna get a lot of receptions. You could piss off receivers doing that too. So
you could, yes,
that's why typically you see duos, not trios.
yes, that is very true. Um, moving right along though, one of the other games we split on, and the one I won. 49ers at Eagles. You picked the Eagles. I picked the Niners.
I'm glad I was wrong. That's all I'm saying.
I won 42-19 in favor of San Francisco.
I'm happy about it.
Well, yeah, because you have Brandon Ayuk on your team.
No, I don't.
I thought you. Oh, you traded him.
I had to trade him to get fucking Jared Goff.
I forgot. And you don't have Debo either.
I don't have Debo. I never had Debo, but yeah.
But yeah, this was they came out. Debo Samuel came out earlier in the week, and he said that if Brock Purdy had played the entire game against the Eagles in the NFC Championship, the 49ers would have won. And there was a lot of derision said about that, and then they went out and proved it true.
Well, the funny thing too is, remember there was some contentiousness with the fact that they showed up wearing all black, like they were at a funeral.
Everybody came in wearing all black clothes. Yes, which that is some premier level like trolling right there.
That
like,
is some mega
that's
trolling
top
right there.
tier.
Oh yeah,
That's top tier.
That's top tier trolling.
Brock Purdy, 19 of 27, 314 yards and 4. Count them. 4 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey, 17 carries, 93 yards and a touchdown. He did not score one through the air. Debo Samuel, 4 receptions, 116 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he ran another one in.
So should we also talk about the news on that as well? With Big Dom and what was the player's name now? What was his name? The defender for the 49ers.
Oh, wasn't it Greenlaw?
Yeah, Greenlaw.
Dre Greenlaw?
Should we talk about that too?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Wait? Okay. So, I don't even know what his actual function is for the Eagles organization.
He is head of security.
Okay. Head of security, Dom, whatever the hell his name is.
Big Dom.
That's
Dom. What they call him. Big Dom.
Yep.
And he is a big fucker, dude.
He's
huge.
A big, fat white dude.
He's also Italian. He's a big, massive Italian.
Yes. Got into the face of Dre Greenlaw during the game, and then I believe
it was on the sideline.
It was on the sideline. Over on the Eagles sideline, and I believe Greenlaw shoved him or put his hand in his face or something.
Well, basically what happened is, okay, so just to set it up, Greenlaw had done a tackle where some people argue was not a clean tackle because he lifted him up and threw him down, but it was in a way that you see other tackles happen all the time because it's in the momentum. He's just using the momentum of the player to tackle him. It wasn't like he picked him up from behind and then slammed him down. This
isn't like a WWF move.
Yeah, this wasn't one of those. He just kind of hip threw him more or less. They thought it was bad. And what happened, Big Dom was right on the sideline, saw it happen, immediately got in Greenlaw's face and pushed him. Dom pushed first. Greenlaw was like, hey, what the hell? They had some words. And then as the refs came to try to break it up, Greenlaw reached over and kind of gave a slight love tap to Dom's face. Both Dom and Greenlaw got ejected. However, the NFL is actually currently rumored, this isn't confirmed, but rumored to be investigating Dom because not Greenlaw. And the reason for that is because Dom pushed first and got in the player's face first, and as personnel on the sideline is considered highly offensive. Like, yeah, sometimes you see coaches and stuff on the sidelines get slightly involved in skirmishes at times, but to push and get in the face like that is considered egregiously offensive. And Dom knew better, and from everything I've heard, he's basically admitted that, like, yeah, that was not okay. So,
Also, speaking of personnel on the sidelines that are under fire, real quick before I give the Eagles stat
go ahead.
line, 2 weeks ago or something, Tyreek Hill scored a touchdown, and he found a sideline photographer or an end zone photographer that he'd known for quite a while, who had an NFL press pass and everything, and he got his personal cell phone, and then he used he took a video of himself while he was doing his backflip that he likes to do. And so the photographer posted it out. I've got a press pass. The NFL is considering revoking his access now because they're not supposed to interact with players and everything else. Tyreek Hill has come out.
That's not really his fault. Yeah.
No, but Tyreek Hill has come out and said, "I will pay his salary for the rest of the year if the NFL does that." I'm firmly on his side.
Not really his fault,
we didn't coordinate this. It was just a spur of the moment thing, and I wasn't aware that it would cause so much blowback.
Yeah. Like, I thought I was just being entertaining and knew the guy and was just like, hey, shout out to that guy.
Yeah, and that's kind of what it was. And like, he's like, nah, if it does go bad, I will pay his salary. And because this has gotten so much attention, he also does have a private photography practice that is apparently taking off now.
I imagine the NFL is going to backtrack real fast on that shit.
I would imagine so too. Now, Jalen Hurts, 26 of 45.
Oof.
298 yards and a touchdown. Rushing, Jalen Hurts, 7 carries, 20 yards and a touchdown. If Jalen Hurts is your top rusher with 20 yards, you have a problem. A.J. Brown, though, 8 receptions, 114 yards. Just doing A.J. Brown things.
He's still around, still trying.
Still doing his thing. Yeah, the Eagles looked like crap. I don't know what that was, but it was hot garbage.
It wasn't a good game.
No, the Niners came in highly motivated, and they took it out.
Remember, I've been saying it for a while that, like, yeah, the Eagles keep winning close games. They keep not quite looking like the Eagles last year. But eventually it's going to crack. Eventually someone is going to come in, and it's going to be a bad game, and that's what happened. I said this like 4 weeks ago, and like I promise you, if one of these good teams is going to come in, and they're going to smack them in the mouth. Now, whether this is good for the Eagles, because potentially you'll see teams get smacked in the mouth and eventually go, oh, shit. Okay, now we got to really try to play a little bit better, a little cleaner football. We'll see if they get better, or they could do the opposite thing and go, oh, shit, we frauds.
Suck. Yeah.
We're actually frauds.
All right.
So we'll see.
Browns at Rams. We both picked the Rams. We were both correct. They win 36-19.
You want to talk about getting smacked in the mouth?
They definitely got smacked in the mouth. Puka Nacua with that 70-yard pass from Stafford.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Flacco. Flacco actually played pretty well.
He tried. For somebody we haven't seen start in a long time, like, he's played pretty well.
23 of 44, 254, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Kareem Hunt, 12 carries, 48 yards. And more, 4 receptions, 83 yards. Not terrible for Flacco. Stafford, 22 of 37, 279, and 3 touchdowns. Hi, Matt Stafford. Good to see you again. Kyron Williams, 21 carries, 88 yards, and a touchdown. And Puka Nacua, 4 receptions, 105 yards, and a touchdown. Leading to a Rams victory. Now, we have to talk about the final 2 games of the week, and they're both depressing. So, let's start on Sunday night. Chiefs at Packers. We both picked the Chiefs. We were both wrong. Packers win 27-19 to move the Packers to 6-6 on the season.
Yeah.
Mahomes, 21 of 33, 210, a touchdown and a pick. Pacheco, 18 carries, 110 yards and a touchdown. Kelsey, 4 receptions, 81 yards. Lucas Van Ness also got to Mahomes. The pass rush really did.
Oh, they were all over Mahomes.
They were all
constantly.
over him. Yeah.
Yep.
This was not a great game for the offensive line.
No.
Jordan Love, 25 of 36, 267, and 3 touchdowns. Fuck
I, I'm getting sick of it. When will Green Bay finally have a QB that fucking sucks? When is this gonna happen?
A.J.
God damn
Dillon,
it.
18 carries, 73 yards, and Romeo Dobbs, full reception, 72 yards. Yeah, I feel you. Like, I thought Jordan Love was going to be the one that stunk because he didn't start well this season. But over the past couple of weeks,
Yeah.
there's something there, and it makes me unhappy. Is he being a butt?
He bit me. No, get off my chair. Get out of here. You don't get to be on me now for a while.
You bit. No, bad eating bad.
Exactly. You get to stay over in the cage for a while. If he starts getting loud, I'll cover him up. I don't have to yet, but if he starts acting up, I will.
But yeah, that game was bad. There were some bad ref calls in it. And,
Yeah, there was. There was some bad ref calls. It was weird. It was, again, it's the idea that, missed calls is one thing. Inconsistent calls are a whole different story.
Which is exactly what happened here.
And so I'm only going to highlight the end of the game because it only reiterates something that I've talked about with you before, I've talked about with my dad before, and I continue to agree with. The final couple minutes of the game, we had some weird penalties, right? We had the Chiefs benefited from a PI call that probably wasn't a PI call originally. So basically they were throwing the ball. I forget who it was he was throwing to. I think he was throwing to Rice. And they called PI on Green Bay. And it was ticky-tacky at best. Like, he barely touched him. Maybe slightly saw an arm. Looked like he might have grabbed him, but I didn't see really any grab. They still called it a PI. I was like, that wasn't really a PI, but okay. That's not good. That's sad. Then there was the roughing the passer, or not roughing the passer, sorry. It was, what was it? Like, unnecessary roughness. It was an unnecessary roughness call on Patrick Mahomes. As he was running out of bounds, he got hit. But he got hit technically still inbounds. He wasn't quite out of bounds yet, but they still called it because it was the idea that he's clearly going out of bounds. You didn't need to push him or hit him or anything. You've already cut him off, so they called an unnecessary roughness. That's a 50-50 in my opinion. Some people are saying no, he shouldn't have gotten called. Some people are saying yes, he should have gotten called. I'm in the camp of probably shouldn't have got called. But at the same time, I can understand why they would call that because they've called that before in the past in that exact same way. However, there was then the passer interference that didn't get called. That was 100% passer interference. Patrick Mahomes, after getting that unnecessary roughness call, hucked the ball down the field. I forget I think it was against Rice. And I don't remember which defender was on him, but he literally wore him as a coat. Like, he literally jumped on top of the receiver to reach up and bat the ball down. Absolutely it was passer interference. Didn't call that one. But you called that other ticky-tack passer interference before. Are you fucking blind? Like, come on now. Like, and that's the worst part, too. Is these types of calls at the end of the game, it's literally changing outcomes of games. Or these not calls. Like, it's one of those situations where I've now come to the realization that as much as I don't like the idea of having a sky judge, there needs to be a sky judge. At least active for the last 2 minutes of each half. Because that's where the penalties...
to be. The booth can bring down, but they're only allowed to bring down certain reviews.
They can only bring down certain reviews, specifically on touchdowns and if the ball's turned over.
Yep.
And only when the refs call them on certain situations can they be active. The sky judge should be active fully for 2 minutes at the end of the first half and the end of the second half to be able to call certain penalties or certain things or or overturn penalties that aren't penalties.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically egregious ones. The ones that matter the most at the end of the game that we see all the time change outcomes. Passer interference and holding calls. Because those are the two that get called the most often in the final 2 minutes that will actually change games.
Yep, 100%.
It is what it is. It is what it is. And I think the honestly, it would be wise of the NFL to ask the owners about that and finally make that call, because a lot of people are complaining that like, oh, we don't want that because that's going to slow down the game. No, no, it won't, because there's instantaneous communication nowadays, and they already have New York set up in a booth. How much harder would it be to get a couple more guys to just watch the games continuously for the last 2 minutes? It wouldn't. You already have the setup. It wouldn't slow down anything. And if they're only allowed to mess with 2 or 3 different calls, it literally won't
They already
change.
have people they can do it. They can feed it into each stadium.
That's
You
what I'm
could
saying.
have
Like,
another ref travel with the team that is the eye in the sky who
Yeah,
stays
exactly.
up in a booth in the press box and watches, like is sequestered away from
Exactly.
other people and watches, and there's a little button that he can push to go, hey, ref, I need to talk to you. And then they can pick up the phone and go, hey, here's what's going on.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's so many TV timeouts nowadays. There's so many injury timeouts nowadays. Do you really think adding a sky judge for the last couple minutes of each half is really going to change the amount of time a game takes? Because I can tell you the answer is fucking no.
All right. Last game of the week. Bengals at Jaguars. We both picked the Jaguars. We were both incorrect. Bengals win in overtime 34-31, although it was a really good game.
It was a good game, for the most part.
I don't know if the Bengals win if Lawrence doesn't get injured.
You know, I thought that too, but you got to remember, like, they were already close up until that point. Like, in all honesty, it's hard to say because Lawrence wasn't playing amazing until like the last half of the.
Yeah,
of the,
but if
like,
they get the ball first in
know,
overtime with Lawrence and the way he was playing, it's possible they score. And
it's possible, yeah.
Yeah. So.
But I still think it's a very close game. Is what I'm
Oh,
saying.
it's
like,
going to
I don't know
still go to overtime.
you know,
I just think
yeah.
the Bengals can win it in overtime with Lawrence rather than Bethard.
You mean Jaguars? Yeah.
Or the Jaguars, yes. Speaking of which, Jake Browning, 32 of 37 for 354 and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Well
And he was
done.
scrambling too.
He was moving and running, and yeah, no.
Yep. All right. Yep.
Okay, as we were saying, Browning, just an absolutely amazing game for him. Well, just absolutely unreal. Mixon, 19 carries, 68 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chase, 11 receptions, 149 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, Browning looked pretty doggone good.
Oh yeah.
Lawrence, 22 of 29 for 258 and 2 touchdowns. Etienne, 11 carries, 45 yards, and a touchdown. By the way, Lawrence also ran one in. Evan Ingram, 9 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown. Now, what also hurt them is they lost, and we did mention this, they lost Christian Kirk on the first play of the game. He was wide open, ball was a little misthrown. He had to turn around to catch it, and then he injured himself coming down. I do not remember what the actual injury is. Groin, that's right. Injured his groin. Yeah.
Not a great injury to have.
No, and so overall, this game was really good. Browning looked pretty doggone good. You know what? I don't know if he's a starter, but if he keeps putting stat lines up like that, somebody will give him a shot.
Yeah, he's not a starter, but I think he's a really good backup.
But if he keeps putting up stat lines like that, somebody will grab him and give him a shot at a starter.
The problem is the last 2 weeks before that were kind of crap too. So it's like, yeah, he's inconsistent at the moment, unless he continues to get better. Like,
which he could, and if he does, good job.
I doubt it, but we'll see.
I doubt it too. But if you can play yourself into a job, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
DeVito's the same type of thing. Like, can you play yourself into a job?
Kind of doubt it. Let's be honest. DeVito's not going anywhere. He wants to live at home with his parents.
Exactly.
He's playing for the team he wants to play for, and he gets to live at home with his parents. He ain't going nowhere.
He ain't going nowhere. He's going nowhere, pal.
He's going nowhere.
Nowhere. All right. Next week's games?
Sure.
All right. Let's pick next week's games, and then we'll do the rest of the week, and then we'll do hockey, and then we'll wrap up.
We still have to do our power rankings, our game balls, and we haven't done any of that, man.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said we'll do next week's games, then do the rest of the football stuff for the week.
Oh, okay. I
And
didn't hear
then
that
we'll
part.
do-
I was like all I heard was, oh, we'll do next week's, and then we'll do a little bit of that, and then
No.
we'll do hockey. I was
We'll
like,
do
Jesus.
next week's games, then we'll do the week wrap up.
I didn't hear that part yet.
Okay. And then we'll do hockey. So, next week's games, week 14. We start with what is sure to be a stinker.
On Thursday?
Patriots at Steelers.
I mean, Steelers will win just because the Patriots are so bad.
Yes, but it's going to be a suck game.
It'll be a bad game. Isn't there a game on Friday this week, too? Or
I don't know.
I know there's a Friday game coming up at some point.
There's a double Monday game.
That too. I saw somebody got flexed out into Monday. Yeah.
Bucks at Falcons. That'll
No,
probably determine the division right there.
I'm going with Bucks on that one.
I'll take the Falcons. This game is going to be fun, and way more fun than I would have thought it would have been a couple of weeks ago. Colts at Bengals.
Colts.
I agree with you, but it's still going to be fun.
It'll be a fun game unless Browning comes back to what he was doing the week before.
That's
it was
true.
Just kind of mediocre.
All right, here's one that I'm not hyped for anymore. Jags at Browns.
Yeah. I mean, Beathard did okay if you give him enough time, and because he'll have another week to practice. I'll go with Jags, but it's going to be loosey goosey.
I'll take the Browns. If Lawrence were playing, I would take the Jags.
No, I know. I'm kind of just assuming that if he gets enough practice time, he'll be okay.
Texans at Jets. Do we even need to ask?
No.
No. We
It's
both
definitely
know
the
the Strouds
Texans.
are going to win that.
The Strouds are going to win that.
Rams at Ravens.
Rams are doing way better now. I just don't know if it's going to be enough to overcome the Ravens at the moment. I think they'll put up a hell of a game, but I think Ravens will ultimately come away with that game.
I agree with you. I think it's
But
going to be a lot better than people think.
But the Rams are one of those teams, like, you look at them, I think they're 6-6. Like, thing is that's funny about them is
They
they're
don't
probably
feel like a
so-
6-6 team.
they're the best 6-6 team you'll ever see.
Lions at Bears.
Lions will take that. I have no faith in the Bears.
Niners at Seahawks. Do we need to ask?
Niners.
Bills at Chiefs.
That's winnable for the Bills now. Chiefs are looking even more vulnerable than they did before. However, I think Chiefs are going to be looking for blood after that last game, and I think Chiefs will take it.
I agree, actually. That's literally what I'm basing it on, is the Chiefs are going to be looking to kill somebody.
Yep.
Broncos at Chargers.
I don't want to say Broncos, but I'm going to say Broncos because I have zero faith in the
I
Chargers after that
firmly agree.
fucking game. Oh, God.
Eagles at Cowboys.
That's a tough game for the Eagles because they need a bounce back game, but this ain't going to be it. I think Cowboys take it.
You know what? I'll take the Eagles. They need that bounce back, and the Cowboys always seem to struggle against teams that are the same or a little better than them.
No, I understand that.
Titans at Dolphins. We all know.
Yeah, Dolphins.
Yeah. There's no way the Titans are going to stop that attack.
Probably not.
Alrighty. Game balls?
Sure.
Alrighty, you can start. I have like 7 people that I could give game balls to.
Anyways, game balls.
I have like 7 people I can give game balls to this week.
Oh yeah, I got plenty. Nico Collins. Game ball.
Well done. Sam Laporta, game ball.
That was one of mine, but that's fair. Debo Samuel. Game ball.
Was one of mine, but that's fair. Tyreek Hill, game ball.
That was one of my other ones. DK Metcalf. Game ball.
Jake Browning, game ball.
Fair enough.
I also had on here Brock Purdy and Jordan Love. But thank God I didn't have to use
Yeah.
Jordan Love.
Yeah, I was avoiding the Jordan Love one.
All right, hit the showers. I'll start. Patrick Mahomes, hit the showers.
Fuck you. That was my first one too. Austin Eckler, 14 carries, 18 yards, ain't good enough, my guy. That just ain't it, my guy.
Russell Wilson, 3 picks. My dude hit the showers.
Drake London, where the fuck were you, my guy? Where the fuck were you? Hit the showers.
Yeah, that was bad. Steelers defense. How the fuck do you let 24 points to the Cardinals? Hit the showers.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Commanders O-line. Do I need to say more? Go hit the showers.
All right, Inferno. You can start.
All right. I'm back to my usual 3 almost, so this is pretty typical. Sean Payton, you're in my 5th circle. Listen, we're starting to see a pattern that I don't like. Every week there's at least one bad hit from your defense. And it's it's always like, yeah, you can argue that every team has like a bad hit. No. I hate to tell you, these are like bad hits almost every week. It's starting to become a problem, and it scares me a little bit. And I think it's partly on you for not hammering down. It's your defense. We know that you built that defense. Basically, that's the defense you are coaching. You are a defensive guy. It's hard not to look at it and go, "What the hell, man?"
I have a new person in here, and it's not because I think he's particularly a bad person or anything, but just the way his team is performing and seasons before this, at some point something's got to give, so your seat's starting to get a little warm. So this is a warning. Robert Saleh, you're in the second circle. You aren't going to be burned yet. There's not a hell of a lot of danger. I still think you probably have at least another year to fix this. Mostly because of the Aaron Rodgers injury. But
they brought him in to rebuild, and they've been rebuilding. And this is definitely next season. I think is definitely the year where they should have their takeoff year.
I think next season is your make or break, my dude. And if you don't make it next year, you're probably gone by the end of next season. So this is me saying you're at 2 right now, and you're probably going to be at 2 for quite a while. But you should start feeling that seat heating up beneath you.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, we're back to a usual suspect, Bill Belichick. Welcome to the 8th circle still. You haven't left. It's only going to get hotter probably. I mean, everyone knows you're probably done, right? I can't imagine there's a world where he stays.
Brandon Staley, I have bumped you down a level. You are now in the 9th circle. That was an abysmally shit game.
You know what was funny? For the longest time, I remember I told you last week, I was like, if they lose, they should fire him. You know,
they should still fire him for that.
I was gonna say this is almost as close to losing. Like, this is how bad that game was.
Yeah, they should still fire him for that.
They should still fire him.
They won't.
He won, but they shouldn't have.
But yeah, you're in the 9th circle, my dude.
Oh, yeah. And of course, I mean, you know me by now. The refs are in the 9th circle because I'm getting sick and tired of them changing the outcomes of games at the very fucking end of them. I'm just getting sick of it.
Bill Belichick, you are down in my 10th circle. I am consigning you to the briny deep, to the bowels of hell itself. Good sir, retire. You just lost a game 6-0.
Hey, remember, he's a defensive guy. He did get well enough to keep him to only 6 points.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if your offense can't score. Get the fuck out. You're done. Turn that team over to Bill O'Brien.
I think this is just more and more proof that Bill Belichick's great defensive mind knows shit about the offense, and Tom Brady was running that fucking offense.
100%. 100%. Once Tom left that team, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Do you want to do
Hot
potatoes in the
potato?
power rankings?
Yeah, let's do potatoes and power
Let's
rankings.
do some potatoes. I'll start the potatoes this week.
There, go ahead.
Maybe Zach Wilson isn't the problem with the Jets?
I mean, he isn't the problem. It's never the problem, right? Is he a problem? I think yes. I think he is a problem, but I don't think he's the problem. I don't think he was ever the problem. I think they had a lot of problems. It's just easy to pin it on one person because that's what everyone wants to do. So, yeah,
Alright.
yeah, it's mostly true. So,
Yeah.
salt, butter, a little bit.
Alright. There you go.
Maybe CJ Stroud should be the MVP.
You know what? I think I already said that one, and
You said it last week,
I
and
used it
I
a
said
couple of
no,
weeks
and now
ago.
I'm like, you know what? I'm riding that train.
I'm on it. Let's put some chives even on that one. I'm down. Let's do it. Sour cream, chives, everything. That
Because
dude
like
is a
the fact, like I was like after losing Tank Dell, still found a way to win that game and still played well. You know what? It's hard not to be like, yeah, this kid's it.
Speaking of MVPs, maybe a wide receiver could win the MVP this year for the first time ever.
No, there's as much as I would love to see it, it's not going to happen. It's going to be a QB. It's always a QB almost nowadays. It should
Yeah,
be the QB
I know.
award.
The last non-position player to win it was in 2012. Do you know who it was?
Running back, right? It was a running
It was
back.
a running back. Do you know which running back?
2012, would that been Peterson?
That would have been Adrian Peterson
Yep.
for the Vikings. But yeah, Jerry Rice never won it. Randy Moss never won it.
Yeah.
Won it. It's stupid. It's just stupid.
I agree.
And this year you've got Tyreek Hill, who has a chance and will probably go over 2,000 yards receiving.
Yep. Yep.
He honestly should win it.
If nothing else, he should be a finalist, but I don't think he will. Yeah, that's just my opinion, though. Maybe the Bengals will make playoffs with Browning?
Ew, that was my third one. My third one will now devolve to the one I got rid of because I didn't like it. But yeah, that was my third one, so I'll eat it with some butter. But I was watching Rich talk about it, Rich Eisen, and the in conference and the stats don't back up that they could, because they've lost so many conference games, which are where they're going to look for tiebreakers.
Yeah, exactly. They have to basically win out the rest of the
There is a
schedule.
chance. It is very small, but they could do it.
Yeah.
So my final one is, just with everything that's gone on recently, maybe Caleb Williams isn't the first overall pick?
Nah, I think he's definitely the first overall pick. I just
Because
don't
did you
see
hear
a
he's
world-
not going to play in the Holiday Bowl now?
Yeah, but that's not unusual, actually. A lot of draft picks, especially ones that know they're going to go high, end up not playing their last games. It's not uncommon. I'd be shocked if he's not still the number one overall pick, to be honest with you. Even if he doesn't deserve to be the number one overall pick, because I think, as we've discussed, there are other candidates that I think are just as good that could go overall.
Harrison
number
Jr.
one.
should be the first overall pick, in my
Yeah.
opinion. That dude has been a
But-
monster. You've also
I
got
don't think it'll
Drake May,
happen.
who's played incredibly
Drake May,
well.
yep.
Penix Jr., who might win
Penix
the Heisman this year.
So I just don't think he won't be, though, just based on previous years and how everything's gone for him. He's going to be the number one overall pick. It's just, yeah.
Alrighty.
All right, last one for me. Maybe Minshew Mania's back, and he's going to take that Colts team to an AFC championship. I decided to make it extra spicy.
AFC Championship? No. Wild card team, yes. Wild card team, yes.
I mean, they were already practically a wild card team, so that's why originally I had them making playoffs, and then I thought about it, and went, you know what, I'm going to make it a little extra
No,
spicy.
I don't think they can make it all the way to the championship game, but god damn it, they a fun team right now.
They're a great team right now, man. It's crazy.
All right. It's a little too spicy for me, though.
That's fair.
Okay. Power rankings?
Sure. Why not? Funnily enough, my power rankings are the exact same teams, just moved around a bunch.
I actually have some new ones on mine.
I don't. I've debated it, but I don't.
I have one new team.
Yep.
One.
Yeah.
And one that almost fell out until I found out about something with them, but they still fell.
Yeah, quite a few teams. I had quite a few teams fall, but nobody left the power ranking. No one else got added. I debated on dropping a team out, but I decided not to. So
I did with mine, but I put a team. I did put a team in that deserves to be here now. So I'll start then. My number 10 team is the Jags.
okay.
They almost fell all the way out of my power rankings. And that's because if Lawrence was going to be out for an extended period of time, there was another team I could put there. But with Lawrence only maybe missing a week or two, okay, no, you get to keep the 10th spot. You lost. You haven't been looking great recently, but you get Lawrence back soon, and maybe you can make a run. So, number 10.
Yeah. My 10 is the same from last week, the Rams. I mean, they played well. The problem is, I think other teams have been playing really well too, so I just couldn't justify putting them much higher. I debated on putting them at 9 in place of the other team that's here. I ultimately decided to leave the Rams at 10 and then the other team at 9, and it's getting hard to make decisions at this point, to be honest with you, because I'm still debating it, going, should I have swapped those two teams around? But I didn't. I ultimately stuck with Rams at 10. I want them to continue playing as well as they have, and then they'll probably shoot up my rankings pretty quick, like I do most of the time. But yeah, we'll see.
My number 9. Welcome to the power rankings for the first time this season, Indianapolis.
They're the only team that I was wanting to put on this list that I didn't.
I put them on over the Rams and the Steelers, because those were the other two teams where I was like, ooh, either one of them has been playing well enough to make this list.
No.
But the Steelers lost, so I couldn't in good faith put them on this list. And while the Rams won, the Colts have reeled off 5 in a row and have looked very impressive. So I can't not put them on this list.
I want to put them on my list, but the problem is I'm looking at the rest of these teams and going, I don't think I could move any of them off except for one, and that one doesn't feel justified for how high I had them to drop them completely off the list yet. So
yeah, I understand.
We'll see. So sitting at 9, the team that did drop pretty much like a rock, Jaguars. Hello, welcome to 9. Unfortunately, losing that game was bad. Losing Trevor Lawrence for a week, it's gonna hurt. Depending on how that game goes, you might end up falling off my list tomorrow or next week.
That's entirely possible. You could find the Rams at number 10 on my list next week.
Yeah, so we'll see. But hopefully you get back Lawrence sooner than later, and you're able to continue playing as well as you were before. Because I think I had him at like my 5 or 4 or something, and oof, you dropped fast.
Yep. My number 8, the Strouds. Hello, Texans, Strouds, whatever you want to call yourselves right now. You're at number 8. You keep winning, you're going to jump up this list pretty quick. It's just right now the teams above you are just that much better, in my opinion. But you're poised to make some noise. And if the Jags do lose Lawrence for a significant period, you could win the AFC South.
Mm-hmm. At number 8, I have the moon blower uppers, the Strouds.
Please don't blow anything else up.
I have nothing else to say.
Yep. Number 7, a team that has had a rough go of it recently and has dropped in my rankings quite a bit. Them boys from Kansas City, the Chiefs, are at number 7. You guys aren't looking like the defending Super Bowl champions anymore. I don't know what's wrong. You're going to need to figure that out quick.
Fair enough. Number 7, I have another team that's been struggling as of the last couple of weeks. And they like to give their fans heart attacks. The Detroit Lions are at 7 for me. They've been winning, but they've been right on a knife's edge way too much for me to feel comfortable with putting them on any higher, to be honest with you.
Which is why I have the Detroit Lions at number 6. The exact same. Don't tell me you put the Chiefs at 6.
I did put the Chiefs at 6.
High five.
For all the same reasons.
We just flipped them, like we always do. The reason that the Lions win at 6 and the Chiefs won at 7 for me is the Lions won this week and the Chiefs lost. That's literally what
I
it came
get
down
that.
to. They could
For
both
me,
be 6A and 6B, in my opinion.
honestly, for me, it just came down to the fact that I had the Chiefs a little higher on the list than the Lions last week, and so they both just kind of equally dropped for me.
Number
That's the way it
5.
works.
Number 5. A team that I am still not sure. Wait a minute. No, you have. Do you go first or
I
do
said
I?
6 was Chiefs. You go.
Yeah, you said 6 was Chiefs. Got it. Number 5. A team that I still am not sure of. Dallas Cowboys. You're at number 5. You look good when you should, but other times you don't look good. And I still don't know what team we're going to get. I think this upcoming game against the Eagles will give me more information about what I should do with you.
Fair enough.
If you win, you're climbing. If you lose, you're going to fall. I don't think there's much more I can say about that.
Fair enough. Number 5, I have a team that's kind of been has been good, even great at times, and then we'll have like a week or two where you just question what the fuck happened. So Dolphins, welcome to 5. Most of the time good. Once in a while you go, what the fuck was that?
My number 4, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
You got raked over the coals by the Niners. That precipitates a 2, because I had you at 2 last week. So that does precipitate a 2-spot fall. It's not a 3-spot fall, it's just a 2-spot fall. My God, you need a bounce back game. If you beat the Cowboys in convincing fashion, you're going to go back up. But if you lose, you're probably going to fall some more.
Fair enough. Number 4, I have the Cowboys. They are looking good. They're looking very dominant. We'll see how this game for the Eagles goes, because either that's going to skyrocket them, push them further up the rankings, or it could severely drop them. So I'm giving you some benefit of the doubt here, Cowboys. I think you're good. Don't prove me wrong.
At number 3, I have the Dolphins. I'm a little higher on them than you are. I love Tyreek Hill. Yeah, every so often they get slapped, but for the most part, they're the ones doing the slapping, and I think they're more better than they are not.
I agree with that. Number 3, I have the Eagles. I had them at number 1 last week, so they dropped 2 spots. Ta-da!
Ta-da! We dropped in the same amount of spots. It's just we had them in different places last week.
Exactly.
At number 2 for me, the Baltimore Ravens. Look, I know it's not fair dropping you out of number 1 because you had a bye, but the way that our number 1 team dominated their opponent, sorry, you're still a great team. And if you come out with a win against the Rams again this week, you're probably going to stay where you're at, because I think that the other team is probably going to stomp their opponent.
Probably. I agree. I have the Ravens at 2, which means we have the 49ers,
we have the Niners at
1. It's not fair to move. The thing is, you moved them. I didn't. The Ravens are still 2. They had a bye week. They didn't move at all from their spot because it was a bye week. I don't think even if they win next week, they'll be pushed up because their quality of opponent is just simply not as good.
Yeah.
It's not justifiable enough for them to move up unless the 49ers lose their game. And if they do, then the Ravens will probably take my number 1 spot. But
exactly.
It's all going to hinge on another team. And that's also if the Ravens don't lose. Like, if the Ravens also lose, then, well, fuck. Then we're going to have a completely new number 1 there.
Yeah. But I think both the Niners and Ravens should win next week. The Niners have the
Agreed.
Seahawks and the Ravens have the Rams.
Agreed.
So, I mean, overall, that's going to be fun. I think that's interesting. But yeah, so there we are. All right. Let me do my hockey corner real quick, and then I'll do a hockey power rankings, and then we'll wrap up and get on up out of here.
Okie dokie.
So now, I will say that I did not go back through this after last week and update where the teams are in terms of points percentage, because this is how it's rated. Nor did I redo the letter grade. This is still as of last week. I did redo my top 10. I did not redo this because I didn't want to. So, this is as of last week, and how now some teams' grades will have changed slightly, but are still where they're at, because I still don't think a week would be enough to change the grade. Even though there are some teams that are now experiencing winning streaks and doing better, the way that the team has played to this point is still, where kind of everything is. So we're going to start down at number 32, and of course that is the San Jose Sharks. What letter grade would I give them to this point of the season? C-. Look, the reason that you're not failing is because you obviously weren't going to ice a product that was going to win very much. The reason you're getting a C- and not like a B or something is because you're icing a product that's damn near unwatchable. You wanted to ice a product that was going to lose, but it was at least going to put up a fight and actually be interesting to watch, not get cremated 8-1. And that's what you're icing. I'm sorry, it is. So, C-. Number 31, the Chicago Blackhawks. You're getting a B. Because while you're losing, you were expected to lose. But Connor Bedard is fun to watch.
Ooh.
Number 30, the Minnesota Wild. You get a big fat F. You were not expected to be here. You were expected to contend again. Now, recently, you've gone on a 3-game winning streak since firing your coach and getting a new one. But that's expected. You fire a coach, you bring in a new coach, you get the new coach bump. Happens all the time. Not unexpected. But you have an F because you extended all of these guys before the season began because you looked at it and you went, we almost won last season. We did really well. So let's give these guys contracts because we obviously have something here. And now all of them they're just not performing. And now you can't trade them because they're not on expiring deals. It makes it much harder to trade them. You can't get anything of value for them. So, yeah, you're at an F. 29, Edmonton Oilers. F. When you have the two best players of the planet, you expect to be better than 29th overall in points percentage. This season is a total failure. I don't need to expound further. 28, the Ottawa Senators. C-. With everything that happened in your front office over the last season, over the offseason and the sale of the team and everything else, you weren't expected to be great. But you were expected to be better than this. C-. 27, the Columbus Blue Jackets. D+. You're not an F, but you're way worse than everybody thought. And even one of your players is talking about going back home to Russia. D+. Anaheim Ducks. B. You're actually better than what you thought you were going to be. Even though you're 26th, you weren't expecting great things, but you had a great streak to start the season and were actually one of the top 10 teams in the NHL. You've petered off a lot since then, but there's a lot of promise there, and there is some up-and-coming production. 25, New Jersey Devils. D. Look, I get that you have injuries, which is why you're not an F. But considering you made the playoffs last year and you were one of the top teams in the NHL, for you to be all the way down here is a travesty. Get it together. 24, the Montreal Canadiens. B. You weren't expected to be great yet, but you're showing flashes, and that, good sir, is promising. 23, the Arizona Coyotes. B+. By the way, they've got on a nifty little streak and could crack the top 10 next week if they keep playing the way they are. So they're actually much higher up the list now than they would be. But yeah, they're playing way better hockey than I think anybody expected. They're doing amazing work. And overall, their rebuild is pretty much complete and it looks like it was done right. B+. 22, Nashville Predators. C+. Look, you're winning-ish, but you're also getting stomped out. You have one of the best goalies in hockey, and you still can't make anything happen. 21, the Pittsburgh Penguins. D. You brought the band back to make one more run at a cup, and this is the best you can do? Number 20, the Seattle Kraken. D. You made the playoffs last year. This year, you might make the draft lottery. D. Number 19, the Calgary Flames. F. You have all this talent, and it still sucks. 18, the Buffalo Sabres. D-. You almost made the playoffs last year. This year, you might make the draft lottery again. 17, the New York Islanders, D+. Look, you still have one of the best goalies, but it doesn't matter if you can't score, which you can't. 16, the Washington Capitals, C+. You started bad, you've gotten a little better, but you're still not great. 15, Philadelphia Flyers, A-. Considering where you were at last year, this has to be seen as nothing more than an amazing fucking season for you. For you to be 15th in points percentage has to be reason to throw a fucking parade. 14, the Blues. B, I don't know what you are anymore. Are you good? Are you bad? I don't know, and neither do you. So, B letter grade. 13, the Toronto Maple Leafs, D. You're in the top half, but you have 5 regulation wins. Only 5. Everything else has come in overtime or the shootout. That is not a sustained recipe for success. Number 12, the Hurricanes, B-. You thought you were going to be better, but you're still not horrible. You have room for improvement. Number 11, the Lightning, A-. Look, I get that some of this is because Vasilevsky's been on the shelf until now. Hopefully you guys can get it back together again. Number 10, the Red Wings, A. Where you guys were last season and where you are this season, night and day. You guys are probably going to make the playoffs this year. Good job. The guys' plan is working. Number 9, the Jets, A. All this controversy in the offseason about are you going to lose all these players? You lost one. The Jets look amazing. They're playing incredibly well. A. Number 8, the Dallas Stars. A-. A-. You're still playing good hockey, but you could play a little bit better. Number 7, the Panthers. B+. You guys played for the Stanley Cup last year and you'd never know it. Number 6, the Canucks, A+. You were a tire fire last year. This year, you could honestly play in the playoffs and potentially go to the Stanley Cup. Yeah, A+. Number 5, the Kings, A. You're playing incredibly good hockey. You were expected to play pretty good hockey, but you're exceeding some of your expectations. Good job. Number 4, the Avalanche, A-. You're still playing good hockey, but you could be better. Number 3, the Golden Knights, A-. You're defending Stanley Cup champs, and you started really hot, but you fell off a little since then, so you get the minus. Number 2, the Boston Bruins, A. I hate you. I hate you so much. I hate everything about you, and I hate Brad Marchand, mostly because he doesn't play for my team. But you're still a good hockey club. Fuck you. And number 1, the Rangers. A. Again, you have to be really excited by this, Rangers. Well done. You look like you could actually play for a Stanley Cup this year. So those are my letter grades. Now we have the power rankings. Number 10, the Carolina Hurricanes. Overall record, 14-9-1. They have 29 points. In their last 10, they are 6-3-1. Look, they started weak and they've come on strong. I've got nothing but love for these guys. They're doing amazing work right now as a hockey club. Number 9, the Detroit Red Wings. 13-7-3 overall, 29 points. In their last 10, they are 6-2-2. Again, the Yzer plan is working. These guys are playing good hockey, and now with the addition of Patrick Kane, they might actually be bound for the playoffs and could be a title contender. Number 8, the Dallas Stars. 14-6-3 overall, 31 points. Last 10, 5-3-2. It's the Stars, man. They're still playing good hockey. They've got one of the better goalies in the league. Jason Robertson is one of the best young scorers. They've added Matt Duchene to the team. I mean, overall, this team is a mean thing, and they're going to be good this season. Number 7, the Winnipeg Jets. 14-8-2 overall, 30 points. Last 10, 7-3-0. Look, the Jets are just terrorizing the league. They are way better than you would think. Connor Hellebuck is a monster in the net. You know, you can't stop him. It's fucking unreal. They're playing great hockey this year. Number 6, the Vancouver Canucks. Overall, 16-8-1, 33 points. Last 10, 5-5. Look, guys, you're almost the definition of average right now. You need to play better. You could have been higher up if you had only won a couple of more games. But 5-5 isn't going to do it for you. Number 5, the Vegas Golden Knights. 16-5-5, 37 points. Last 10, 4-2-4. You guys are also having a real downturn right now. I don't know what the problem is, but you got to figure that shit out. Number 4, the Colorado Avalanche. 15-7-2, 32 points. Last 10, 6-2-2. You guys are playing about right where you should be. Maybe clean up a little bit more, take those overtime wins, take those overtime losses, turn them into wins, and you'll be good to go. Number 3, the Boston Bruins. 17-4-3, 37 points. Last 10, 6-3-1. Look, you guys are still playing great hockey. You can definitely tell there's a bit of a drop-off, but you're still playing great hockey. You're still going to make the playoffs, and you're still going to make somebody miserable. Number 2, the Los Angeles Kings. 14-4-3, 31 points. The reason why they're number 2 is they have played, I want to say, 3 games less than the Bruins. And if they had played those and won them, which is likely, they'd have the same amount of points as the Bruins. Last 10, 7-2-1. You guys are just tearing it up. Your team looks great. You guys look great. You haven't looked this good in a long time, and you should be very happy with your team. And number 1, the New York Rangers. 18-4-1, 37 points. Last 10, 8-2. The Breadman is getting it done. Your entire team is getting it done. Zibanejad looks amazing. You guys are on a tear. There's a good chance you're going to make the Stanley Cup Finals. At this point, you can almost coast there. And that is my hockey power rankings. I know you're probably unhappy that Boston is still really high.
Yeah, after I heard about it, I was expecting it, to be honest. I was like, all right.
They've got to fall off eventually. I just don't know when it's going to be.
You know, we said that about Green Bay, too, and yet we just can't be right about that, apparently.
It's like you try to step on a cockroach and it just crawls out from under your foot.
Pretty much.
All right, with all of that being said, I don't have anything else for this week. Do you?
No, I want to go eat supper, though.
All right, well, then in that case, we'll bring this to a close here. If you liked what we do here, please give us a like, give us a subscribe, share us with your friends. We'd really appreciate that. And if you don't, we don't give a shit. In the meantime, we'll tell all of you, we hope you have a great week. We hope that you accomplish what you want to accomplish out there. And we hope that everybody out there has a great time and is back here next week to watch us again. And stay bearded.